Hello, old school anime reviews. Okay, today we're gonna look at Serial Experiments Lain. This is a series that came out, I believe, in 1998, directed by, and I apologize if I say the name wrong, uh, Ryotaro Nakamura. Um, this is well. Let me just state up front. I'm not really a big anime fan. I mean, I like some movies and I've had some mangas and things laying around, but I'm not a super fan. I like stuff like Akira. I like Ghost in the Shell. I've seen Appleseed. Actually, I saw the old Appleseed. I haven't seen the John Woo Appleseed yet, but and when I was younger, people my age probably might remember on broadcast TV, they used to have stuff like Voltron. I used to like Battle of the Planets. They had like Robotech. I know people these days are big fans of Dragon Ball Z and Gundam and Macross and stuff like that. I'm just saying, I'm aware of, the existence of certain things, but, I just kind of dip and dab, I'm not really a connoisseur. I'm not an expert or whatever. But, I found out about this series and I watched a couple of the episodes and I liked it, so I, ordered the rest of the episodes. So, I just wanted to put that out there. This series is a kind of a different story. It's not really action packed. It's not really about horror or anything like that. There's no demon slaying, there's no giant space battles or anything like that. It's kind of a laid back, low key story. There's some suspense in here, but not a lot of action. It's really about these kind of, I'd say, slightly deeper ideas and concepts, things about, the internet and the global village and identity and spirituality to a certain extent, Basically, the star is Lain, and you kind of follow her along as she kind of finds out about what is the wired and the extent and the limits and the boundaries of the wired, while at the same time figuring out a mystery about herself. It starts off where this one young girl who's a classmate of Lane's, commits suicide. She jumps off a building and dies. But the next day, Lane's getting messages, text messages, and then she starts hearing voices from this girl saying, "Oh, Lane, no, I'm still alive. I'm alive here in the Wired. I just no longer needed my body. Come join me." And so Lane slowly becomes uh, intrigued and then obsessed with The Wired. She starts off with just having like a simple PC at her house in her room, and until finally getting her dad to get her more computers, and then she gets more equipment. Then she's got giant data banks going on, and there's cooling systems and things running everything, and she becomes obsessed with the idea of, can you enter the wired? Can you go back and forth? And while that's happening, we find out that there's certain aspects of the wire that are kind of bleeding over or leaking into the real world, and that's having dire consequences. There's like accidental shootings and different things like that going on. I found the story really intriguing. I really liked it. I really think that one of the major themes I think that was going on here was, once again, like I said, you've got the quest for identity. At one point there are a couple of guys following Lane around, and at one point they even question her and they ask her things like, "Well, are you, what do you know about how your parents met? What's your birthday even? Do you know any of this stuff?" And then she gets confused as to, well, who am I? What am I? There's parts where Lane goes out to a club with her friends, and there are people in the club saying, "Oh yeah, we saw a girl look just like you, but it couldn't have been you. You're shy and quiet and reserved, and this girl was dressed all flashy, and she was all in your face and stuff." And then she meets somebody else who's like, "Hey Lane, how you doing?" And she's like, "Do I know you?" "Of course you know me. You're here all the time." Different things like that. And you get to wonder, well, is it really another girl who just happens to look like Lane, or is it really Lane, but for some reason she doesn't under remember this happening? So that's one mystery you have to kind of figure out. There's another thing going on with, I think I mentioned there the guys following her. There's things where her older sister is having these weird visions. You're wondering, is this more doing of the Wired? Is for some reason this other girl just going crazy or whatever? She actually ends up in like a catatonic state, I believe, and that's another thing. They kind of hit on some kind of serious, I almost want to say grim subject matter, but I don't think it's done in an exploitative way. I don't think it's really done in a sensationalistic way. I think it's handled with the right tone. Like I mentioned, it starts with somebody killing themselves. Uh, there's accidental shootings going on. There's Lane's older sister going crazy. There's another thing where one of her friends may or may not be having some sort of affair with a teacher at the school. And remember, these are like, 13, 14-year-old girls. So, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like, but, it's not like they don't really show anything. And like I said, it's kind of more suggested. And it's handled with the appropriate seriousness. I think that subject kind of deserves. And like I said, that's not a big plot, but that's one of the more serious or grim things that's happening. I think I think what they were trying to get at. Well, let me jump to something else here. When I was looking up information before I ordered the the episodes, I kind of stumbled upon some website where somebody had written in something where they had mentioned like one of the so-called experiments about the whole thing is that the filmmakers wanted to see how well they could do the series on a really low budget and still make it look good. And as far as the animation and the art style, I really like it. It really appeals to me. I like the design of the characters. I would say they're a lot more representational than you'll see in a lot of things, I won't go as far as say they're realistic, but you don't have that thing where people have odd shaped heads and giant eyes and everybody's super tall and super skinny. You know what I mean? The characters look a little bit more representational to how people kind of look. And, I like that aspect of it. There's lots of weird or strange graphics going on. And some of it's obviously supposed to be symbolic and you have to like kind of figure out what's going on. And other it's, you're not too sure. You're not too sure if it's more symbolism or it's just a graphic design choice they made. But it's really interesting to look at. It's not really flashy. Things aren't flying at you or anything like that, but that's fine because it suits the mood of the story. Like I said, it's just a low key story. It's just laid back. It's a little slow moving. It's a little slow moving, but not not agonizingly so. Like I said, it's such a more contemplative series. And I think that was another thing that I liked about it. Some of the themes they get at is, once again, identity. Who are you? Who are we? What is it? Do you have a soul? What is your soul? Is it just, the electronic impulses in your brain? And if they are electronic impulses in your brain, what is it? Is it really the spiritual thing, or is it just data? Is it just information? A lot of people believe, and this is just me putting my own 2 cents in there, that when you die, your spirit ascends and so on and so forth, and you're connected to everyone and everything. But that's kind of parallels what's going on here with Lain going back and forth through the Wired. She's, you can be connected to information to everyone, and the whole idea of technology progressing in the global village, and everybody's got their cell phones and their computers and their laptops and this and that and television and what have you, and that's another way that we're all connected. I think there was a whole thing of what is real and what's not real. Is it, just, hang on. Sorry, I'm going to try to edit out that gap. I'm doing several things at once, and something was going on here. Okay. But yeah, that we're all connected and whatnot. So I think it's a really interesting series. There's a couple other things that happen. There's a character that may or may not be a quote unquote god-like character. Things do get scary a little bit. Well, not really scary, but they get kind of tense. Some stuff starts happening toward the end. But I think it's a really interesting, a really brilliant series. So that's about it. Let me know what you think. If I left anything out about it, if you've seen it, tell me. If you have anything else to recommend that's pretty much on the same level, let me know. Okay, and that's it. Thanks a lot. Check out my blog if you want to, and you have a good one.